New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent.
You know, finished up the week. I think the last time we talked here, finished up the week, and you know, had a kind of situational day in the stadium, which was good. You know, kind of get into the game process, substitutions, communication, a few situations, things like that, and then we have a couple of training camp days here yesterday and today, and then start getting ready for Washington. So, yeah, long way to go. Just taking it day by day, trying to string some days together, and improve from, you know, the day before, correct our mistakes, and move on here. But you know, be interested to see how things go in Washington, and I look forward to you know, to getting out there on the field.
With 3 preseason games this year, does that change the amount that you will play veterans? Sort of, does that change your strategy at all with in terms of playing time with one less game?
Well, we'll just take it week by week here. So, not sure where we'll be next week, but we'll see where we are this week. You know, we have a pretty good idea. We'll see what happens between now and Thursday, but we'll do what's best for this game, and then kind of go from there. The scrimmages kind of add into it. You know, they're joint practice days, so you know, they count for something. Not sure exactly what, but they count for something.
Bill, you looking forward to, you know, the game and just facing off against a different opponent and what that can bring to your team?
Yeah, every day is a good opportunity for us to try to make the most out of every day.
Make a trip to Canton over the weekend. What was it like to be there for that? And
Always good to be in Canton. Yeah, it's a great spot. A lot of history there. It's great to see the players. Unfortunately, we lost, you know, a few here in the last year, 2 years. But yeah, great to see the great players and coaches that were on hand, and that was good. You know, David Baker's done a tremendous job with the hall and everything about it. The enshrinement, of course, is bigger than ever with the multiple classes that they had in there, so that made it, you know, pretty interesting too. But glad to be there for, you know, some of the people that I've competed against. Maybe we'll get one of ours in next year.
Matthew Slater, I mean, I know that the bar kind of seems to change on who's a Hall of Famer and who's not, but in your opinion, having coached him, is he someone whose resume compares and should put him there one day?
Compares to who? There aren't any like him in there. So, yeah, he would be setting that bar if that were to happen. So that's not something I have any control over, so I don't have a vote.
You don't control it. Does it surprise you at all that more of your players from the early championship teams haven't even gotten a sniff?
Yeah, again, that's all out of my control. I'm not really that even familiar with the process.
It seemed like Quinn Norton had a pretty good practice the other day in the stadium. Just what have you noticed from the rookie so far in his first NFL offseason?
Yeah, Quinn's improved. You know, he's still got a long way to go, but he's improved. It's a good opportunity for him to kick inside. Of course, it's, you know, ideal conditions. Can't get it really much better than that. No wind, turf. So, but we'll keep challenging him in different situations and see how he responds, just like everybody else. No rush, you know.
Joe not finished yesterday. You guys had to shuffle some things at snapper. Did you guys have to bring someone in?
Yeah, you know, and we had another player in the spring too. So we want, you know, with only one snapper in camp, we needed to make sure we know what our depth potentially could be there.
To do that today?
Yeah.
To the warmer weather coming up, another step in testing the team's condition.
Yeah, whatever it is, we can't control that. So whatever we get, we get.
Carl Davis, what about him
made you guys want to re-sign him this offseason, and what have been your impressions of how he's performing so far in camp?
Yeah, well, it's good to have Carl on the team last year. Unfortunately, he didn't get to play a lot, but I think he fits into our defensive system here. He's had a good camp, so glad we have him. See how it goes. It's training camp's really a lot about consistency and being able to sustain it for all of us, and so but he's doing fine.
Just to go back to the Hall of Fame stuff, I'm not sure if you had a chance to see it, but did you see Peyton Manning's speech at all?
No, I missed it. We had practice yesterday.
Traditionally, you guys bring in a steady flow of free agents for workouts just to sort of keep abreast of who's out there, and most of them played college football. Occasionally, there'll be one that pops up that maybe has an unconventional background. How do you sort of determine who to bring in, knowing that each visit comes with an investment from the team, a cost, to take a look at them?
Yeah, well, if the player doesn't have much playing experience, then it would have to be a kind of a special situation, if you will. The Steve Neal, not saying Steve Neal, but the Steve Neals of the world. So there's not very many of those, but they pop up from time to time.
Did you guys bring back Wes Farnsworth?
We didn't.
Bill, what's your knowledge of reacclimating a player like Devin Asiasi, who obviously the COVID cases are all individual, but he's been activated, he's out here. I assume there's some sort of onboarding. What's his status 100%? How would you describe where he's at?
Yeah, we've had a few players in that category. They're all, as you said, a little bit different. And this is, not an injury, but, an injury that we're not really familiar with. And as you said, everyone's a little bit different. So we'll just treat him that way. He's out here, he's participating. We'll monitor his progress and just kind of take it, not even day by day, I'd say, monitored as he goes through practice, how he's doing. And, until we're sure that he's ready to, go out and, be a full participant. But I'd say we're not quite there yet. But I don't know how that's gonna go. As I said, we've dealt with that with a few other players, and some have reacclimated quicker than others. But again, we just have to stay on top of it and monitor it. Just communicate with them on how they're doing and how the physical exertion and output in practice affects them.
In terms of the monitoring, obviously you're busy. Is that something that falls between the medical staff and Coach Callie or Josh, or who is assigned just to kind of take a look at Devin or any player coming back from COVID as things go along?
Yeah, well, it's really the medical staff, but the position coaches would be aware of it at their position and would, again, I would say, just make sure that the players, in a safe working situation. Obviously, if he noted something, he would, call the trainer over. But trainers are kind of monitoring too. But as I said, we've dealt with a few of these, and just don't know how it's going to go. We just have to keep an eye on it. But we wouldn't put them out here if they hadn't passed all the tests that have cleared them. But clearing a person and having them play football is, two different things.
To follow up on that question about the free agent workouts, someone was just surprised that you guys reached out to him based on something he put out there, like social media. He's a professional baseball player, and he was flattered, that the team reached out to him. And I'm curious how that just sort of, from your view, reflects the thoroughness of that process that you guys go through when you decide, who comes in here.
Yeah, well, our personnel department, just goes through, I can't even tell you how many, YouTube type tapes we get, and, people send us DVRs or DVDs or whatever they are, and stuff like that. Recommendations from various people, and there are other free agent camps that are scattered throughout the country from time to time, in addition to all the normal, I would say, football environments, Canada, college, the other professional leagues, indoor leagues, and so forth. So, yeah, just kind of keep our eye on all that.
2 final questions.
Bill, some of the guys in camp that have come through, former players, Teddy obviously, Gerard's a coach here now. They've talked about the fact that with this program, the veterans are willing to teach the younger players the information they need to know. It's not a situation where they're, as Gerard put it, keeping the secret sauce from them. How important is that to your culture, and is that something you wanted to make sure that you instilled in the culture here, that the veteran players would take the younger players under their wing and not look at them as a threat?
Yeah, well, we're all here to help each other. We've all been helped along the way by somebody, so I think everybody has kind of that same attitude, because we've all gotten it from somebody somewhere along the line. So, and there's somebody behind us that'll get it from some of us.
Was there, when you were earlier in your career, when you were an assistant coach, did you ever witness veteran guys who were maybe unwilling to help younger players? Was that something in the league? And do you know that when you had your own program, you wanted to make sure that you eliminated that?
Yeah, generally speaking, I'd say that was the case. There were a couple isolated examples that would fall into the other category, for sure, but not too many.
Coach, thanks everyone.
Okay, great, thanks.
Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn,